Good morning, everyone. Microphone check, screen check. I know the webcam's not working again this morning. I just realized that right before I started the the stream, so I didn't have a chance to restart and get everything going. So, no webcam today on the YouTube side, but outside of that, it looks like everything's working here. Yeah. All right. Welcome, welcome. Hopefully, everyone was able to rest up, get ready for the day ahead, all that fun stuff. As always, before we jump on the left side of the screen there, make sure to read through the live trading morning prep PDF. Very important to go through and understand everything that is inside there. Just a quick note for you all before we jump in. Please keep in mind, the YouTube broadcast does have between a 5 and 30 second delay, depending on where you're logging in from, which will definitely impact the timeliness of what I may be talking about at any given moment. Also, just wanted to take a second to give a shout out to our latest members that joined overnight, yesterday afternoon, this morning, etc. Thank you so much for the support. I'm pumped to have you on the SSFTG family. If you aren't a member yet, you do have a few different options available to you to check out if you are looking to further your trading education or your trading career, or if you're just looking for some cool, fun traders to hang out with. Whatever you're looking for. Here on YouTube, you can check out the join button below the stream. YouTube family gains access to the extended hours trading room, which continues from the morning session, usually until around 10:30, 11 o'clock, depends on how much is going on that day. Every member gains permanent access to the Discord chat server, and of course, you get the awesome badge next to your name here on YouTube to show your support. To understand what it is that we are doing every day, you can look no further than the Day Trading Academy. Listen, this isn't a small, lightweight PDF that you're going to finish in an afternoon. You're looking at 19 plus hours of video course material, study material, homework, review. You better tuck in. You got a long chunk of material to go through. Definitely not a small one. And then finally, the big kahuna, the Mac Daddy, the VIPs. VIPs have exclusive permanent access to our non-delayed stream covering the entire morning session from 9 to 11 to ensure that you are on the fastest connection possible and so that you don't miss a beat along the way. Alongside that, VIPs also have access to the monthly webinars, which is one coming up this weekend, private events, one-on-one scheduling access, all kinds of cool stuff. So whether you're here for the very first time or you're a seasoned veteran over on the VIP Zoom stream, welcome. I'm glad to have you trading alongside of me today and analyzing these crazy markets. Let's take a look at some news, take a look at some charts, see what all is going on today. Don't forget to grab your morning DP levels. Those are posted for you this morning on the major 7 markets that we take a look at. As far as the news is concerned, oops, my drawing tool isn't on. What the heck? Really? Hang on, sorry. There we go. Okay. Anyway, looking at the news for today, we had 8:30 news core durable goods orders. That was also the GDP, a little bit lower, and also the initial jobless claims. Basically, everything happened at 8:30. After that, well, there's not a ton left. Unfortunately, we've got a lot of news that happened at 8:30, lots and lots of news, but then there's nothing else for the rest of the day. At 11 o'clock, we have FOMC member Williams speaking. That does almost nothing. And then at 16:30, Fed Bank stress test results. That might actually be pretty interesting, but it's happening while the market's closed. That doesn't really help anybody, or might as well be. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's take a look at some charts to see what's going on today. We were talking about how yesterday, in the chat room at least, I was looking for maybe a little bit of a dip in the overnight to see if buyers can reload back down towards this previous low at around 250, if not potentially a little bit further. And they did the total opposite, just shot right through the top. So in terms of continuation and movement to the highs, obviously we do have a potential just massively extended channel that's going on for centuries. And the market's trying to grind its way back up to the high. That said, if we do look in the nearer term, we do still have kind of this ascending type channel that was forming inside here, or I guess wedge, that we have slid sideways out of, and we are now retesting the highs. As far as trend completion goes, that's kind of what needs to happen for that trend completion. So, I mean, it still feels like it's a little bit top heavy, but you know, I can't help but shake that little feeling in the back of my head, like, hey, is this going to be another one of those never pull back kind of bull trend days? It kind of feels like it, you know, and we'll look at that a little bit more when we get into the faster time frames, especially. Looking on the S&P, we already have that confirmed V bottom on the lows. This thing just went screaming to the sky. There's very little resistance as far as the upward momentum, and every pullback has been. I don't even think that's an L1. Like, it barely pulled back. This first one was just an L1. They barely made it to the L1. And then this next one around, yeah, they couldn't even make it to L1. So buying aggression is obviously stepping up to the plate. The concern is that when that buying aggression starts getting a little bit weaker, is that going to cause a deeper pullback this time around? Instead of going for an L1, 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 that deeper pullback now, is that going to be the L2, or is that going to finish off some business down here back in the threes, fours? We'll kind of have to wait and see, I guess. Over on gold, gold has been, man, what a mess that's been going on here on gold. As far as the impulse leg to the downside goes, this starts way over here. And we go to the low all the way at the base. That will give us a POC, I believe it was like 75 or something like that. Or 95, there we go. 1895 up at the top. If we extend this POC a little bit further forward to see, have they developed a new one yet? Because they hadn't for a while, and they, guess what, still haven't. There's still no POC shift. So in terms of the overall movement, obviously there is a lot of volume coming in. If you were to draw a POC drawing from here to the lows, you would definitively see a POC down here. And the market is trying to get above it and then below it, and now they failed to go lower and we're back above it again. But that POC doesn't actually exist down here at this point in time because it hasn't changed yet. To overtake the volume, it's got to go way up here. Well, the volume node is back here. So, you know, in terms of volume traded, they're going to have a lot of work to do if they're going to get this thing going. But they're trying. They're definitely trying to get a base in here. On crude oil has started falling a little bit lower, and we are now in a two-legged pullback territory. If we're looking at it from a measured move perspective, we are right there right now, down at that negative half. So the negative half DP, unfortunately, not the best spot in the world. It would have been nicer if it landed at least a -1. But if we're looking back at the volume on that continuation up versus the continuation down, we can kind of see this is the line in the sand. 72.80 was the POC. Why didn't it go up to the top? Cool. Bug data again. Fantastic. Let's go all the way over to the end. There we go. So 72.80 is the POC off at the top. Unfortunately, it's a modified POC, but I don't think it changed. It won't let me draw it over here. Good old Ninja. Now that we've broken underneath this 72.80, this is the chance for sellers to try and take it. Right? It doesn't mean they're going to actually succeed, but this is their chance. This is where, if they are going to take it lower, right there. The fact that we broke underneath 72.80, if this gets some legs, realistically, we could easily see this driving down to the 71.50s, if not a little bit further, to fill in some of this VVP action, as well as all of that supportive action at the -1.5. This could be in for a pretty big spill to the downside. Bad pun, sorry. But remember where we are. This thing is up in the stratosphere. An L1 pullback is still down in the 72s. It hasn't even hit it yet, just to give you an example of how aggressively bullish this is. Over on the euro, similar situation on the euro, but the one big thing that we were talking about yesterday in the was that POC at the bottom and how they were similar, right? The euro and gold were very similar, but the euro was maintaining strength above its POC on the lows, and they did have a bottom shifted POC. So we've got a bit of a different context that's going on here as far as the euro is concerned with trying to get continuation up. Come on, at some point, will this thing load? Thank you. So we've got from the very, very top all the way up back on May 25. That POC is still up at the highs at 1.22135. Now, if we go to the nearer high, which is basically kind of more towards the beginning of June, and we go down to the lows here, it's very, very obvious that we have a POC that got stuck right in the middle here. And this is setting up a bit of context for us in terms of what the market may be trying to reach out and do. This earlier location here looks like it might be gearing up for a really strong trend. But none of these have shifted the POC to the downside unless you're drawing from the very top of the spike all the way across. So the fact that that POC still hasn't shifted yet on the euro either, and we're grinding back up, it makes a lot of sense that the buyers would try to want to go higher. But once they hit here, it's kind of game over. You know, like that's the objective. It doesn't have to break out to a new high. So if it starts tapping this area and we start seeing rejection here, that could be the next drive down to cause another massive lower low and really get things cranking. We'll have to wait and see. It definitely feels like we're a bit on a teeter-totter here. Buyers are trying. So far, at least on the euro, we've got the higher highs. The 3-press wedge top makes it a little bit tough, but it would be nice to see maybe if they can get one more new high, get away from settlement at least, something. Over on the crypto side of things, mostly sideways inside of yesterday's price action. It doesn't feel like anything's happened. We are down at the negative half DP on Bitcoin and not quite on Ethereum. I mean, it still seems like buyers are very aggressively picking up these lows, but like we've been talking about from the bigger picture, this failure lower, we haven't seen the proof. We haven't had the higher highs. We haven't had the proof in a trend change from a larger perspective on the hourly, on the 4-hour. None of those have shown that the bulls have come in yet. That's a bit of a problem. And that goes for both Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now, they obviously did buy the dip. That BTFD slide all the way to the lows was very aggressively picked up. But there are some definite concerns with the way that it's all kind of meandering around. What the heck? Why isn't it? Hang on a second. My charts are not loaded up properly. There we go. So we've got that action inside where nothing is really happening. There's not much going on, but the buyers did BTFD into that dip, and they picked it right back up. As far as that's concerned, I mean, maybe we've got a bit of a spike in channel, I guess, but it's still super, super early. It's tough. Other than the buyers who picked up the low, it's going to be hard to want to buy way the heck up here. Let's swap over to the faster intraday side of things and see what's going on from this perspective. Looking at it from the daily first and looking at the, in this case, continuation to the upside. This is a drastic continuation higher, right? I mean, we had this really strong bull bar up and then another really strong bull bar up. 2 consecutive really strong bull bars back-to-back closing almost on their highs. Okay, well, we're at all-time highs now. How do the sellers respond to it? Doji. Great success. This is terrible. They failed it miserably trying to push it back against those buyers. So it's no surprise seeing this creep higher again. There's no sellers. Nobody's holding the market down. And if there are buyers taking profit, they're not taking profit enough to do much more than a doji. So there's absolutely zero reason to believe the bears have any control at all. And now that we've broken away, we have that confirmation with the doji closing above. We are breaking away from that range point. It doesn't mean that it can't pull back to it. But realistically, this is a good shot to try to keep things going. All started with that POC shift. Remember that a couple weeks ago? Mm-hmm. Funny how that works. Bring that over into the 60-minute. And this thing it just keeps going up. That's all it's doing. As far as the order flow goes from the base to the, well, I mean, really the base was still way the heck over here. So I guess for lack of anything else, this whole thing is all part of the impulse leg. So I guess let's see what the volume looks like on the impulse. And while I'm waiting for that volume to load, because that's going to take half a year, we've got an L5 rotation off the lows. L5s typically hold off L2s. I remember that. They missed that L2 by just a hair. They finally did end up coming back and grabbing the L2 and then launched to the upside. Super aggressive. After that aggressive rally to the upside, it was nothing but L1s. We've got an L1 to the tick bounce. We've got an L1 inside hold. We've got another L1 basically to the tick bounce. It's just L1s all the way up. The next pullback that does end up being a little bit deeper will likely be an L2. That's usually the sequence. After you've got a 1, a 1, a 1, a 1, a 1, a 1, when it starts dipping below that 1 and getting a little bit more of a pullback, then you expect the 2 or the 3. You expect them to take a little bit of a break. Now, the POC in this case is, I mean, they left that thing way back in the dust, and this gives us that upside objective. If you remember, we were talking about utilizing that POC to give us an upside objective. If I remember correctly, it was the 14,400 something. We're getting close. Not quite there yet. But they're creeping up there. We can keep buying until we hit it. Once we hit that, though, then it might be some trouble. And then over on the 15-minute, which, I mean, really doesn't add a whole lot of context. There's not really much of a change here from the 60. Yeah, honestly, there's really none. Yesterday's POC, I guess, if we catalog that. Man, the high was right before the end of the day, and the low was right at the... and see, this is why, right, you can never give anything 100%, right? I can never say that it's going to close 100% of the time, because crap like this, right at the end of the day, new high, new low. Just boop, boop. Okay, well, POC ended up being in the middle between those two moves. If we encompass the entire day, I doubt it's going to change a whole lot. Yeah, barely changed. And the market has not pulled back to that. They tried. Couldn't even get close, but they tried. There is a lot of bullishness coming into today. Hey, hey, hey. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Got about 14 minutes until the open, right around the corner. For those of you who are coming in a little bit closer to the open here, I messed up. I didn't mess it up. My camera just isn't working this morning, so my webcam, for whatever reason on the YouTube side, it was just a black screen. So I hit it. I didn't have a chance. I realized it right as I started, so I didn't have a chance to fix it. But it should be back up tomorrow, so long as there's not a hole chewed through it. More bullish continuation. If we're looking at the 500 tick, obviously the Asian session to Euro session is massively bullish. There's been no pullback. Just straight to the moon. Eventually, we did finally, you can't see them, but air quotes, pull back. And I say pull back that way because realistically, it didn't pull back. It just kind of went sideways. That's a very strong bullish indication. Very likely we see another continuation back to the upside, and that may be the rally to complete the objective that we've been talking about in the daily for weeks, up to those 400s. Forgot to color link it. This kind of movement makes it really difficult to even find a trend. I mean, where do we start the cycle? From the lows of the beginning of the day? That's like in the middle of nowhere. We've kind of got to start back here, but there's been no pullback. Other than that little bitty micro one down there. That was an L4, but, I mean, what have these pullbacks been? That was an L1. That one hit nothing. That was an L1. That was an L1. That one hit nothing, nothing, L1, L1. So, well, we kind of know what kind of trend we're dealing with here. I think that's pretty fair to say. Do we still have divergence on the hourly? Let me see here. Ugh, I hate how it puts the Mac when you switch over, it puts the MACD on logarithmic. Look at this beaut. How am I supposed to use a MACD that looks like this? So if you have this happen to you, just so you guys know, to fix it, because this is obviously not a normal MACD, this looks like a stochastic. What you can do is double click on the price axis of the MACD and switch this from logarithmic to linear, and then hit OK, and that will fix it. So just so you know. As far as, divergence goes, technically, yes. Very obviously, yes. Not so much in the near term. So, yeah. But it's not going to take much to take it away, which is the problem. Buying so high means confidence in the economy, question mark. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into it, right? I mean, maybe, but then again, when the housing bubble crashed, we were at all-time highs as well. So, I mean, is it actually economic confidence or something else? You know, is this an exhaustive final leg before a massive collapse? These are questions that you got to kind of ask yourself. You know, they're not comfortable questions to ask ourselves, but I mean, when we're looking at this kind of rallying to the upside, the last time we saw that kind of movement, it's not like it gives you a chance to kind of figure out what's happening. Like, oh, don't worry, you got time, it's fine, no big deal. No, no, no. When it turns, it rips your face off, okay? So when there is a big collapse like that, these are the kind of projected moves that usually lead into those things where it's just consecutive bullishness, no pullbacks, constant drive to the upside. It's a parabolic it's overdone. And well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, look at how ridiculously bullish that last rally was, right? Went sideways for a second, and then just obliterated. And now, here we go again. It doesn't give me the warm fuzzies, you know, but we do still have room, and that's the beautiful part. So until we hit those 14,400s, 420s or so, that's that major upside objective on the daily, we can still be buyers. It might feel really awkward, but we can still be buyers because a major objective has not been completed yet. And so long as that major objective is still in the open, we can continue buying up to it. Now, once that objective is hit, all cards off the table, right? I'm not, nope. But up until that point, we still got some room. So short term, yeah, it might mean confidence in the economy, but all it takes is a news announcement. Just don't get stuck holding the bag. That's all it comes down to. Eight minutes until the open, and 6 minutes until 9:28. That's the next big batch of movement at the open here. Here, I'll put it up here. I keep getting the question. Webcam off today. Should be back tomorrow. Didn't realize how much people like the webcam. All right. There. All right. So, as far as the approach goes, oh man, I'm gonna have a hard time doing anything but buying today. I would rather buy low, buy traps, buy short attempts that fail, something along those lines. But I mean, realistically, until we hit those objectives through the highs, gas pedals to the floor. Look at the separation of the moving averages, right? The fast, the medium, the slow. Those things are wide open. And the market's only going sideways. It's not even pulling back. Incredible amount of bullishness. And look at that 15-minute. Man, oh man, oh man. You know, this is starting to be a bit reminiscent of that mid-weighted POC that ends up breaking higher. 14,345. They've got to stay above that. So far, so good. And apparently the market's asleep. Not exactly sure what... Still working on the same 500 tick candle that it has been. There we go. A little bit more volume coming in at 925. And here it sits. This might... Ooh, man, I do not like the way this top looks. Third lower high in sequence like that. It was only a double bottom on the low, so that helps. Technically, that's all part of the impulse leg. 14.345 would be the POC on the shorter term. Let's see here. What is my block size? Blue. Okay. I want to create a secondary time and sales for bulk orders. Duplicate in new window. There we go. Get rid of the tabs. Park it right about there. And let's give this a size filter of not much, but just enough, like 5. There we go. $9.28 right around the corner. That's the next big batch of anything happening. First attempt down in the short term. Not really proven a whole lot, but it's the first attempt down at least. Ooh, big flush orders there. Block alert trade size 80? Who's going to trade 80 contracts on the NASDAQ? I got to bump that. I'm going to move that to 10. There we go. 80. All right, I'm going to change this one then to 10. There we go. 928, it had a little bit of back and forth. Not a whole lot going on yet. I mean, really what it comes down to is this incredibly massive bull trend to the upside. Buyers are trying to look for a little bit of a pullback, but this third lower high with an incredibly strong bear bar at the top, that's not allowing the buyers to push through yet. That makes it a little bit harder. I would really love to see the buyers pop to a new high, maybe after the open. But the problem is the open's going to cause a bit of fluctuation. Buyers will be looking for the pullback, though. 30 seconds until the open. I tell you what, though, if they can get a little bit of a dip at the open down towards like the 30s, that would be really nice looking. Here come all the orders. All right, S&P, gigantic outside gap to the upside. Really, really big move higher. Starting to get a little bit of a dip on the NASDAQ back to retest the POC, although that third lower high makes me a little bit concerned as to how this is moving. Modified POC is demonstrating an attempt at support. Really, really strong bull bar rejection for the bears. Nice continuation attempt for bulls to pop it back up. Very nice pop. There it is right there. Nice. Quick little snap for the buyers. Now, buyers may try to buy underneath this previous bull bar as well if they can get a little bit of a pullback. Third lower high is starting to get pressured against, so that helps a lot. Would be nice to see if they can make a new high. Nice little dip underneath that previous bull bar. Beautiful snap right back up again. Jeez. Come on, get a new high. Get some proof. There we go. Now we've got another bull bar back up. Unless they just fall flat on their face. I guess that's always an option too, huh? A doji? Ugh. I can't do anything with the doji. I mean, buyers bought it, but... Really strong bear bar off the top. If we look at this from the impulse perspective, although it doesn't really change the POC, it's down there at 45. That was that continuation bounce to the upside that procured those extra scalps. Woo, big blast into the highs. Tons of orders got hit up there. That light green, that bright green color means that those orders were filled above the ask. More likely stops or market if touched something. But either way, there's people buying at market. I don't care. There's a massive amount of bullish pressure that just hit at the top. And when you see those bright colors, that means it's above the ask or below the bid. All right, nice flush to the downside. Let's see where they end up finding some of that support. I'm kind of curious if we find a bit of support back around these 40s to 50s. That's a really strong dive to the downside, though. One of two things: break even for sellers or reversal. POC's at 51.50. Nobody showing up to the party. Twin reversal off of 51.50. Oh, man. Buyers have a lot of aggression. See if we can get a little bit of a dip down into like the 57s, 56s. All right, that was obviously, in hindsight, because it really didn't give much of a chance to respond to it, a break even that sellers were trying to get going to the downside with that third lower high. They failed. They just got out. There are no more sellers to hold the market down until we start reaching up to that objective. Beautiful pulse down. Yeah. Whoo, man, that washout right there. That was it. Oh, Whoa! Holy crap. I had about 2 seconds to respond to that one. Really nice continuation back to the upside again. I was only able to grab one. That was a snap decision. Let's even get a little more continuation to the upside or what they want to do. We know the sellers are potentially, well, very likely out of the way. I would like to see the sellers try maybe once more. That was a beautiful washout, but seeing something that might get them a little more trapped before a break above the top. First 5-minute bar is behind us. POC back at 57.25. That washout was the only chance. That was the only chance that there was to get into, unless you've been holding for a while. I missed the original break-even test. Well, missed is a loose term. Let's see if they want to pick this next one up on this down flush here. I'd like to see preferably a little bit more. Or not. Another washout. I really wasn't expecting 2 washouts back to back. I gotta say, I was expecting a few more bear bars. You look away for 3 minutes and it leaves without you. Oh, I hear you. Oh, I hear you. I know. It swerved me on that 51.50, but you had about a millisecond to respond to that washout, and that's it. You gotta imagine though, right? The amount of pressure to the upside and why I was so I know it was in hindsight and there's nothing we can do about it now, but just for future reference, why I was so snapped to buy that little pullback. Why would I be so aggressive to buy that where I wasn't aggressive before? Well, we just saw the sellers take their break evens, right? I have every reason in the planet to be aggressive, right? That's just so you know why that was there. I jumped out on that quick little snap. I only was able to grab one. I should listen to my, what did we talk about before? When I'm only able to grab one, I need to hold it. Oh, well. More continuation to the upside. 14,400s to 420s is the major upside objective for today. First 5-minute bar on the S&P rather is... Ugh. That's probably the best way to put it, huh? I don't even know what to call that kind of bear bar. Let's see. Let's see where that POC's at. 42.55. Mm-hmm. Whew. Big snap to the downside and a lot of orders getting filled below the bid. Maybe a little bit of a stopper underneath that low. POC's at the top on this one. And just in case you wanted a little bit of extra proof on that break even, measuring from the top to the bottom, there was the POC. There are no more news announcements that we have to worry about today. So as far as the overall continuation or whatever's going on so far, it still seems incredibly bullish for the NASDAQ. But the S&P feels like it's kind of hitting its head against the wall or bumping its head against the ceiling. We've got that positive 1 DP that's potentially holding the market down, and the first 5 POC formed to 55. Let's even get a little bit of a 2-legged correction back down here on the NASDAQ. There's a well, the measured move would be 64.25, but the POC, it's not a POC, but you can see a big volume cluster right there just ahead of it. Might be a relatively logical place around that zone that buyers may want to try to come in on. Bar 2 on the S&P is a doji. Great. There's a lot of wicks on the bottom of these candles. Buyers are picking them up like they're going out of style. We got the POC up on the top, but if we get a jerk back up through that, then, I mean, realistically, there's every reason in the world to believe that they've got another shot. We've just got to get through that 82. That's a good start. Or not. Wow. To the tick, huh? 382. Yikes. Buyers are attempting to hold up above those 14,378.50s. That's another POC. Look at all those wicks here. It's insane. I would really love to see that measured move down. That's right at the base of a 3-press low. From the bigger picture, that's also right around the L1. Although the L1 is just a little detached. It's right there. Everything's stacking up in the same spot. Doesn't mean it'll happen, though. This thing, I mean, it could just pop. You know how the NASDAQ rolls? This thing could just jump up and be a bull engulfing candle. POC just shifted down at 375. Buyers accumulating these lows potentially. Look at all the wicks down here. It makes sense. This is a shorter term swing long area. We got the POC bouncing, although that POC is fresh. I know it looks like that POC has a massive amount of support, but it just shifted. Okay? So don't use this historically. It just shifted. Really nice bull bar back up again. POC shifted again. Lots of volume up here. They got to get out of this. POC shifting again. Very, very strong breakaway move. Look at the volume that's up here. There is a lot of volume up on the 85s. Second bull bar now fully separating away from the POC. Buyers will be looking to buy that next pullback. I didn't get a fill. Okay. See if we can get a little bit of a confirmation bounce this time around. I tried buying that quick little bid for a scalp. It would have been a successful scalp, but I didn't get a fill. So, c'est la vie. Let's see if they want to follow through a bit more here. This POC is looking a bit gross now. Maybe another bull bar? Another new high? Something with a bit more proof? That ain't it. Are we going for that measured move now? Ooh, okay. Come on, come on, come on. A little lower. I know I said something. I'm sorry. That was my fault. That was my... I said something. Stop saying things. All right. Little flush down here. Come on. Beautiful flush down into that measured leg point of control. And the 3-press wedge low. Not quite. Not quite. Big pop from the buyers. Woo! Beautiful. All the way back up to the POC. I will take it. Now, as far as continuation up, if you're holding more, I only was able to grab 2. I probably could have bought a few more, but I was comfortable with 2 where we were. I was trying to hold out to see if I could buy more at the 3-press wedge, but it never hit. Oh well. But back up to this POC is a very definitive buying target, or, well, buyer's target, so you'd be a seller, whatever. But if we can get through that 75 and pierce back up, continuation objectives would be back up to the highs and trying to trail. Obviously, there is a bit of a concern with that gigantic volume node across the top there, but beautiful pullback to that measured move completion, 3-press wedge low, almost L1. I mean, it was perfect. Going on 9:45. First 15 minutes is done. A lot of traders will bracket the first 15 minutes and kind of look at it as a directionality type breakout. Obviously, a lot of buyers would prefer to buy the lows of a 15-minute range if it were me. Just saying. But now, if we do drive down to another new low, I mean, again, they may be still trying to actually get a physical test of that. Okay. Well, that happened quick. I was going to say, they might be trying to get a physical test of the level. Freaking A, I wasn't expecting that. Okay. Well, I missed that one. I wasn't even done talking about it before it happened. Fair enough. See if they can get some follow-through on that. Jeez. Looking across the lows on the much faster time frame, very obviously there's some divergences attempting to show up, but it's early. Now, let's put our thinking caps on a little bit here. If the buyers fail here, where are they likely going to want to try to pull back to? It should be fairly obvious at this point in time because it stands out pretty well. POC cluster, major POC from the range. This is the hot spot. In terms of options, call options, buyers, out of the monies, in the monies, whatever, they're going to be looking to pick it up here. Not way the heck up here. BTFD. Dip. Nice little measured move pullbacks. These types of value pullbacks, those are the things that swings are looking to get in on, right? Buy it in value. Buy it on the cheap. Don't buy it when it's expensive. Not if you're going to try to hold it, at least, for a little bit. Starting to see a bit of an attempt maybe back up, but they've got to break back above that previous POC around the 75s. Now, that may have changed. Nope, still 75. Big cluster started showing up around 66, though. S&P hasn't done really anything to get my attention. Retested the POC on the NASDAQ. Uh-oh. Oh, that was nasty. Whoa, wait a minute. Bulls, you got to get back up there. Get back above that. Oh, no. Oh, okay. Oh, they closed above it. All right, buyers were able to close above the POC. We still have lower highs. They still haven't broken a new high, not even in the short term. But noting that, buyers may be looking to buy below the previous bull bar, buying the dips, right? I would like to see a bit more proof before I go in to get above the POC. I really don't want to fight against that. Utilize that as an objective the first time around. And the NQ, what's the 357 quarter level? That's the first 5-minute POC. Yep. Yeah. Oh, no, my bad. I got it on the wrong price. It's supposed to be 57, sorry. But yeah, anyway, that's the first 5-minute POC. That probably didn't help the confusion, huh? Ooh, another rejection off that POC. Sellers will be selling this. I mean, that to the tick bounce off the wedge low, I think says enough, but... Whoa, big jump to the upside. I'm going to look to see if I can get a little pullback. Nice little snapback for buyers to try to grab back into. I think sellers on that kind of move are going to be running for the hills. Beautiful pullback to the POC. This is their chance to try to roll it back up. If they give one more flush, I might utilize that as a way to draw my average down for potential exit if we don't get a little bit of a pop sooner than later here. We're back below the POC, but it just shifted quickly. I'm going to reduce one to reduce my risk. It's not worth the risk. See if we can get a continuation through the highs, though, and rally that back up. We're back above the POC. These trades are coming in slow. Watching this area, I've reduced my risk, primarily because I didn't like the way that it was moving already. I'll jump ship on that as a reduced risk loss on the second portion. Didn't want to follow through back to the upside. That's fine. I'm not going to force it. They lost the POC. They lost everything they needed for the bulls to make another leg to the upside. I have no reason being long anymore. Well, I mean, I guess if I was a swing, then sure, but... I think buyers might even attempt to utilize this and to try to push things down if it doesn't snap higher. It hit that break even. Did you see the time and sales light up like a Christmas tree when it hit that? Holy cow. That was a lot of orders that hit right there. Sheesh. This thing's struggling. It's got some problems. Buyers trying to buy underneath the previous bull bar, maybe. Otherwise, looking for a larger dip down could be the next feasible option. Back down to retest the L1, 64, 65s. Big bear bar back down. I'm not interested in shorting, just talking about the fact that some sellers will. I need a lot more proof before I go shorting a market like this. But I want to see where those sellers may potentially be coming in so I can use that to my advantage. And these rejections down definitely don't give me the warm fuzzies. $9.55. We've got 10 o'clock right around the corner. There's no news or anything. I think there was a speaker at 10 or 11, but it's not much. So if you have any questions that you need to get taken care of, feel free to get those in, and we'll get those covered for you. And then we will begin the transition over to the extended session to see if we can keep this volatility going. Nice bullishness back up. POC shifting again. I mean, those two are basically paired, so it's going to bounce between those two. Another rejection off the POC. This is adding a lot of context for the sellers, which is fine. I want to see the sellers try, and then I want to see them fail so I can buy it. That was a really nice drive down that might have gotten a lot of snap decision FOMO sellers in. See if they can crack above that bear bar's high. Sellers know that they don't want that to happen. Yeah, they pushed it back down. They're like, no. Big drive to the downside. First initial support zone is going to be around 357, first 5-minute volume POC. Also just underneath 62.75. I have to assume that buyers are looking at that low as a trapping point to buy everybody's stops down there. But if it doesn't hold there, then we're probably going to get that slide to 57 or maybe even lower in the lower 50s. Double bottom. Hey, Nix, how's it going? Quick snap new low underneath the 63s. Didn't really see any buy orders hit whatsoever, just all sell orders. There's the buy orders. They showed up a second later, all right. Bulls trying to creep this back to the upside again. Now, where we are, I was not able to buy the dip, per se, buying on the lows. So I've got to wait for a bit of extra context before I hit any gas pedals or anything. But this is really good bullish conviction. My concern is that this still may be a rally to get those earlier traders out at break even. So two incredibly strong bullish consecutive bars to the upside. This would be the third if they can push through the 74.50. Bulls are returning, I guess. Yeah, I mean, they're buying underneath the low, which, again, isn't much of a surprise, but we've got to get just a bit further up for that proof. I have a hard time buying too early. That's a really nice close above that, though. Can we get a snap back down to those 373s? Ooh, POC shift again. Get up to like 76. Get through all this crap. God, this POC is just bouncing all over the place. Ooh. Oh, okay. Well, that doji helps. Three incredibly strong bull bars with zero response from the bears now with the doji. There we go. Now we've gotten a little bit further up for some extra proof here. S&P pressuring down towards the lows. It's been all wicks above the high. See if we can get a little snap back to those to those 373s. But remember, this whole area from 75, I was going to say from 75 to 73, that's a big zone. There's the buyers. There might not be a pullback after that kind of candle. Yep. See if they can get a quick little snap back down to the lower 80s. I mean, with a few seconds to respond, and I don't want a twin reversal either. No thank you. What is that? Yikes. I want to see them push a new high. I do not buy twin reversals like that. That is a hard pass. And... ugh, that's nasty. How is gold doing out there? Gold is doing nothing. Things just dead calm. Nada. POC still up at the top at 1895 too. They haven't done a thing on gold. Quick little snapback to that 374 POC. Obviously, buyers will pick that up. But given that twin reversal on the highs, like I said, I'm not about to buy that. All right. Well, we are past 10 o'clock. I'm not seeing any other questions coming in. So with that said, let's jump over to the extended session for members and VIP. If I did miss any of your questions, feel free. You can always shoot me an email, jhb@ssftg.com, and I can get those covered for you from there. Otherwise, I can cover that tomorrow morning as well when we open back up. But for those of you who are ducking out, I hope you had a fantastic morning so far. It's been pretty solid, all things considered. A little bit choppy towards the middle seems to be a common trait. But hey, we got some good runs today, so I'll take that. Well, runs. We got some good pops, at least. Better than nothing. So let's transition over into the 10 o'clock extended session for the rest of you. I will see you all back tomorrow morning, and let's rock and roll, all right? Have a good one. We'll talk to y'all later. Thanks.